this meeting to order. We'll call this meeting of the MSRAC to order. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the December 9th, 2022 regular meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, so
I have
Steve,
one error.
Okay.
I think it's a typo.
okay,
I'm sorry. It's on page 3. At the site visit on December 7th, T-Pen had mentioned this project. In attendance are Champan. His name isn't Champan, right?
Chapman. His name is
Chapman.
Chapman, so that's just a typo.
Chapman, okay.
So
Okay,
it just missed the first time, but at the second time it says Chapman.
Yeah, that's a typo.
okay.
And another thing at the bottom under other committee business, it says on the meeting of December 19th related to 0 Reardon Road. Is that correct? 0?
Yes, and any address that doesn't have a structure on it has a
Okay.
number address of 0.
Yeah, I knew that, but just because of the way the 0 was the last digit in that sentence, I just wanted to make sure that it was not, a number hadn't gotten omitted, that's all.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, I'm not aware of it having any other address, and I think,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's definitely a 0 read.
so Steve, is that all right if your motion is amended to change the typo to
Absolutely.
do we
I'll
have-
second.
second? Okay, Ken seconds. Any further comments? And all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Okay, the minutes are approved. Any correspondence not relating to agenda items?
Definitely not anything not related.
Okay. For citizens' comments, there's none in the room. Are there any online?
Or not.
Nope.
Okay, then we'll move on to committee business.
Okay.
One thing I'd like to say, when I first joined this committee like 7 years ago, we said that we were going to try to limit our meetings to an hour. And I think because we now almost, this is my fault, don't delete items from the agenda, we just kind of have more to build on. I think I'm going to try to, I tried to not keep every single thing in the, maybe we should not have every single thing we've ever done on the agenda, and then at the end, just kind of put, updates, like sometimes there is no update on Riverside Drive or Blaine Road or 630. So just in an effort to try to get our meetings back closer to an hour, I think if there's no objection, I'd like to kind of try that.
Sure.
A good idea. I like
Okay.
that.
So this month I specifically didn't put on, I think, 630 and Blaine Road, although there was a flurry of activity on Blaine Road this week. So we can talk about that under other committee business.
So I guess we could call that correspondence
Right.
related to agenda items.
Well, it's or other committee business.
Or other committee business.
It's related to other committee business. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is Riverside Drive Lot SIP project. And actually, we did get an update email from Yu Yang that said, for the sidewalk project, there's no construction during the winter. In addition, Rawson Avenue's revised parking layout concept has been accepted by the traffic unit and is now in the right-of-way unit. Based on DOT's latest email, that process will take a few months. So,
And I had a follow-up conversation with Vitaly as
Okay.
well.
great. So you want to go ahead and tell us about it?
Yeah, or I can wait till after whatever you're pulling out, but so I followed up in anticipation of this meeting, because one of the things we had asked for at that big powwow we had at the beginning of December was to try to get an estimate from rights of way so that we could get a sense on whether they will not provide that to us. What Vitaly explained to me is once rights of way has it, they are not going to talk to the town at all because the agreement's not with the town. They're going to negotiate directly with the property owners. So that puts a slight wrinkle in that if we're gonna pursue the revised parking area, because it's under the lot SIP grant, we have to use the same contractor, but they're gonna take months to resolve that. Now, when he said months, I was thinking, oh my God, they're gonna be stretched out to April. He thought maybe they would be resolved with that by March. Now, I'm not super optimistic about that time frame because we know how the state agencies have worked thus far, but that is what he said to me. If it's in March, I think we squeak by, but regardless, it's gonna have to be, NC that does the work because they are the approved contractor on the lot SIP. So it does create a little bit of a bobble, which I'm sure we will find a path through, but that is how it is. We're not going to be able to get an estimate so that we can at least have an idea of whether we're even going to be paying Yu Yang to do the real revision to the plan. All they have is a concept plan.
Okay, that's considered.
That's just for those 2
concept.
parking spaces. for handicap.
Right.
I don't know, since he emailed that to you, should we doing a screen share it to Bernie and Joanne so they
Yeah,
can?
let me find it. Give me a second.
Just if you guys want to see the.
Well, that, what I just said between me and Vitaly was not an email.
Okay,
I mean, it started with an email, but it was a much longer conversation, but let me see. I still have this.
I just thought the members might be interested in seeing what the final resolution was to how the parking places would be configured in front of the restaurant. And I brought a hard copy here for the people who are here in person.
And the problem is timing in terms of the grant closing out or what?
I think effectively, yes, because there's a performance period.
Right.
Can you guys see that? Or no?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I see something. I'm not, it looks like an email.
Yes, that's what I'm, that was
Okay.
that was the last email exchange between me and Vitaly, and then he followed that up with a phone call, so I don't have the full content of that.
Oh, I meant this here. I wasn't-
The
Oh,
plan.
I'm sorry.
The plan.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm sorry. I
So
wasn't-
which one is that? That's the
Well, this is
revised.
the one that I've actually ended up forwarding to you yesterday because
Which I did actually have as well. I realized why I couldn't find it.
this is gonna, basically, when Tier gets it up in the screen, you guys will see that they were able to lay out with pavement markings, 2 new parking spaces in front of the restaurant, one of which will be a designated handicap parking space with the official hatching and dimensions and slope and all that. So there it is.
So is this pretty much what they've laid out? And because he brought in another parking berm, concrete berm, so I'm assuming that what he did is kind of what the plan is.
Yes, I actually
Yeah.
questioned him, are you still gonna, this time, are you gonna put a raised berm instead of pavement markings? And he said, no, it's still gonna be flush because of snow plowing.
Looks good. And does this satisfy our hairdresser?
She was not in attendance.
Okay,
Seems to satisfy.
I mean, it
It's-
seemed to satisfy the building owner, who is the one who's gonna be negotiating that lease.
right.
So that's, I mean, that's the real hurdle.
So he's amicable to doing the lease then, the building owner.
We don't know.
Depends
Oh,
on-
okay.
What he's amicable to is the new layout, because we don't
Uh-huh.
know what the cost is, and
Right.
rights of way won't tell us directly. That's
Right.
what he has to decide.
Yeah.
So, and that's the piece that will take a few months.
It
And
is,
apparently-
it is somewhat negotiable with them. I did battle with them when they tried to raise me. And, of course, I had the additional detail of I was gonna be selling the property and they could deal with the next owner, but I did do a little negotiating.
Yeah, well, it doesn't make any sense to me that the lease would be terrifically expensive. I think that when I had the phone conversation with Rights of Way and they were tossing out those numbers like $2,000 a month, they were clearly talking about, yeah, that happens in Greenwich, right?
Right.
That happens in Fairfield County or Norwalk, but that's not going to happen in Thompson. But it still doesn't mean that what they propose is going to be within what he thinks is reasonable.
Right.
Since we have to stay out of it, doesn't mean that the Senate and our senator and our representative can't get involved.
Well, that's true. And May has been out here and was, spent a lot of time here. I mean, we spent probably 40 minutes, the four of us, right? You were there that day,
Yes.
right? Yeah, Janet and Amy and May and I. And then May and I hung around later. We actually had lunch there and talked about that and other things more. So she also floated some other ideas, which, if that doesn't work, there's another option, but it's complicated and. But I take your point. Regardless, I'm sure that if we get some information from the owner that they're being recalcitrant at the state, that we could go back to May's office and have her lean in.
Use that to our advantage.
Right. So I'm glad to hear they're open to negotiation, Bernie. That's good.
Where do I plug it in?
All right.
Norma. Norma, I just muted your phone here in the room because you've got background noise. Take yourself off mute whenever you're ready.
Okay, then if there's no further update on the sidewalk project, we can move into the new project, which is under design, the Main Street reconstruction. Again, I guess we do have one piece of correspondence regarding that from Yu Yang. He says, for the Main Street reconstruction project, the survey field work is completed and geotechnical drilling is scheduled for January 16th. We anticipate having the preliminary design plan and lots of application ready for submission by 1/31.
Okay, out of curiosity, I know the main sidewalk that runs down to the library. Okay, we do have the sidewalk that's in front of the bakery house on the other side with the wall. And then you have from the cemetery going all the way up to the church. Is that all? Where did we get him?
I think his scope of work was the entire length of Main Street. So if there's an existing sidewalk there now, I presume that he is
Being
looking at it.
But that would end at the monument where Main Street meets Riverside Drive. Are we figuring to go, because it makes no sense to end it right at where the monument is without going up to the church. I mean, you're talking a few hundred feet or whatever it may be and complete that whole section.
That was definitely not in the scope of what we asked him to do.
I'm just throwing
yeah,
it out
it was-
because why
Yeah.
do it patch meal when?
Right. I think because Main Street also was a town road, so it wasn't work on the state road. Are you talking on? Oh, no, it's going up. You mean St. Joseph's?
No.
No, he's talking about the other
Yeah,
end.
the
Okay,
church
so-
going through where,
So you mean on Route 12?
yeah, that's short section of Route
Okay,
12, in front of
okay.
those houses.
Yeah,
It's
that
actually,
was-
that church is actually a private residence.
It is now a
Okay.
private residence, but
That
you know,
wasn't,
going up to Quinn Church Shop, basically, it's where. it's
yeah,
going.
that was not in the scope of work, so.
But it should be considered.
Yeah, well, what I think is when he has it shouldn't be submitted without the review. Like, he's gonna do his preliminary plan and say that it's ready to submit to LOTSIP, but we should all, I mean, review it and have a meeting and see what the limits are and what he proposed and if the scope is correct, because once you make a construction cost estimate on that, then that's your amount that you're looking for.
Well, that's why I'm throwing that out.
Right.
Yeah, no,
Before we get to that.
Right.
It is a good observation, although the fact that it's on, now you're on Riverside, so we're back.
Well,
with
you're
the
from
state
Floral
road,
Ave
right?
to Quinn Shirt Shop, and it's a section of sidewalk. You know, you're gonna be looking at residents that are up in that area, the kids get on the bus in that area, and they're gonna go, what are we, not included, and I could say other things, but I mean, it just doesn't make sense to end it at Floral and not continue up.
What kind
Especially
of condition is that stretch of
Quinn Shirt
sidewalk in?
Shop and everything else that's coming in the future.
Yeah,
Let's
they
be
definitely didn't
proactive.
survey,
Yeah.
the town would, I guess, would have to make a change order to their design contract and pay them more to design, because they definitely did not survey the state road or anything like that, so.
But this would be the time to do it.
What
I don't
kind of
have an
condition
answer
is
here.
that stretch of sidewalk in?
Right in front, right at the front of the old church there, where Quinn's Shirt Shop is.
Yeah, but what kind of condition is the sidewalk in?
Oh,
I didn't
it's
think it
all
was
rough,
that
that's all
bad.
breaking up through there.
It is, okay.
I'm sure it's of the same vintage as all
It
the
is.
other
It's all when the
sidewalks.
mills were put in back in the day.
Well, then, I mean, maybe before anybody makes any decisions, I mean, could the town reach out to Yu Yang and say, how much more would it be to add this to your design? Yep, because I'll have to send their.
Just wanted to
survey.
give you this. I just need a signature at the bottom. You are all set.
Oh,
You
good.
just pulled it up front here.
Thank you.
They did the 30,000 mile service.
Yep.
That one, they checked,
Muted.
But this would be the time to do that.
I mean, I don't
And it
know.
only makes sense.
So what do you, I mean, what do you think? So do you think, what do you think about that, Tara? Reaching out to Yu Yang?
I have no problem asking. I don't know what we
Yeah.
budgeted for that, so, or what we. I haven't received
So
a
what is-
bill for it, so I don't
It
know.
was
what-
99,000 that they came in at for the bid for the project. How much more
Yeah,
would it be to add
we need to
that
find
other
out.
section? Does it end at Quinn Church Hall?
No, it ends, the survey that we asked him to do is from the end of
Right.
Main Street to the end of Main Street,
Right.
therefore Quinn Shirt Shop is, oh, you mean where does the existing sidewalk end?
That ends right, the
Right,
driveway that
church.
goes into. Well, what used to be Home Street and to get into,
Right.
it's
Okay.
right,
And-
it's right after the church.
And
right
I'm
there.
sure he'll be able to look at it on Google Earth and,
Sure.
and see it, but maybe we should put that question out, because if it's gonna come in, that it's gonna be another $25,000 or something, and he's not gonna
But-
get authorized.
But to end the sidewalk. Right where the monument ends, so to speak, and then go. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. At least where we ended at Rawson Ave. We had a. An area going into the bridge, so it wasn't bad there.
Yeah, it's kind of. Yeah,
Especially with the future development and everything that's gonna be taking place. Your costs are gonna be cheaper now than in 5 years from now.
I mean, the only thing is if it ever could become part of the mill project, because if they start getting a encroachment permit approvals and stuff for a parking lot across the street.
So the only place you're gonna go in is right where Quinn's is, and that's
Right.
the old home street, right there. That'd be the only place that could go in.
The question's worth asking regardless, so I'll ask. the
Okay.
question.
Okay, great. Anything else on Main Street reconstruction?
Oh, the only other thing to throw out is, obviously, we hope we get the lots if we do exactly what we've done on Riverside Drive. And we want to redo Main Street with the asphalt in the ultimate end. We do have to contact, water pollution control and find out what their plans are for the street. Because it makes no sense putting in a sidewalk if they're gonna be going under it or over it or whatever, because they got some repairs to do. This all becomes proactive, just like we did here. Connecticut Water did their thing and, we got it all done, so that way we could, have a nice, clean finish. So we do have to talk with
So
WPC.
so who should be responsible for doing that?
And I can reach out to Roland.
He's the one that's running the show.
Okay, I mean, that is a really good point. I know Rich had said he wanted to wait until Connecticut Water was done before doing
And
that.
they're done.
that
And that's
project,
done.
And they're done.
But
So
you know, the
they-
septic's been in this since mid-70s. You know,
the
70s.
sewer,
Yeah,
Well, and yeah, just as a cautionary note on that, we did run into problem with old sewer lines up here when they were working by Rawson. Apparently, one gentle tap was enough to destroy that pipe.
Mhm.
So it is probably worth,
yeah, asking if they have plans for upgrades in that area. And in fact, part of the lot SIP project is. So actually, maybe you, Yang, would do this. I might be answering my own question before. If they go into lot SIP, one of the questions is, have you contacted all the utility companies to see if they're going to do work in your area?
and there is some
Assuming the sewer project can't be covered under lots of.
probably not.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know
I
what
can
they may
ask
have
Jim, but
scheduled
that
for
seems,
repairs.
that seems outside what that would cover.
My fear is they don't have anything scheduled.
but you gotta ask. You
I
gotta
know.
find out.
No, agreed,
And even talking with
but it
you,
certainly
Yang, or
starts the
whatever, it may
conversation.
be that they can tunnel under the sidewalk once it's there and not create a problem either with the line boring that, you know, gets done today.
Right.
But-
And I will say, I was at a meeting with the town administrator of Putnam, and she made the comment to me that Jim Larkin has told her that the lot SIP money is drying up. So I don't know whether you've heard any such rumors, anything else, so kind of the sooner we get in the application, the better.
Yeah.
Which is the only thing about, if we add the other scope, that will definitely be several months out, because they didn't survey it, you know, we probably should have thought of that before.
Well, we had them expand the scope to get all the way to the end of Main Street on this side because they skipped the
That's true. the
bridge. So
bridge.
we already did amend the scope once in a very minor way.
Yeah, they were
But
gonna,
we were still thinking about, you know, the finite loop of Main Street. So
well, let's ask them,
I
how
will,
much,
start to
how
ask.
much and how much time.
I will ask.
Cool. Anybody have anything else on Main Street?
Just tangentially related, I was talking to Yacino, the chair of EDC. And in their budget request this year, what they're going to be proposing as their major project is doing a marketing of the revitalization of Main Street. So what that means to this committee is at the point where those, and I actually mentioned this at the TBA meeting the other night too, at the point where the budget negotiations become, you know, open to public comment. Obviously, this committee has an interest in making sure that the work that we're doing in the background on the infrastructure serves its function, which is to make the area desirable for redevelopment. So to come in and support that, I think would be very helpful and useful during those meetings.
Okay. Good synergy. Anything else on Main Street reconstruction? So I guess we should definitely, I mean, you guys not gonna submit the stuff without the town's authorization anyhow, so we
Right.
should just try to get the plans to us to review.
Should we consider a special meeting of this committee? Well, it's only 2 weeks. If he's saying it's going to come back to us by the end of January, it's only a 2-week wait, so that's probably fine.
Okay,
Doesn't mean that if he's sending it to us, doesn't mean we can't get it ahead of time to review it. If he sends another file.
Mm.
right, we should definitely distribute PDFs of the preliminary plans to all the membership and selectmen and public
Yes,
works.
as soon as we get it.
And so that everybody can look at them. Okay, then moving on to item C, updating the MSRAC website page. Bernie took the bull by the horns and updated the website with the description and accomplishments. So thank you, Bernie.
Oh, we just lost his sound and his video, but he
Okay.
does seem to still be there.
Okay, so the only thing I noticed is the members. Did you say that Renee is the one who has to do that because of some?
Yeah, so the
link?
way it works is there's a cabinet, and in that cabinet, people exist or don't exist, because I think I tried to do this before, the first time it came up. And because they don't come up in the drop down, you can't add them. So they need to be added in the master, and I might have the terminology wrong, the master cabinet for the whole website in order to populate them into the drop down menu so that you can add them as a member on any committee or commission.
Okay.
So that's why that, and I assume that Bernie has not been given access to do that, because that's for the whole site, not just the page.
So how about I'll send an email to Renee and just ask her if she can do it? Isn't she the one who knows who gets in there?
Renee
into
does the
the-
most work in it
Into
for
the, I
sure.
mean, it shouldn't take her long.
No, but
Okay.
she will need an email to prompt her for sure.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, then up to D, additional street lights on the utility poles over the new sidewalk. I think after our last meeting. Let's see, it was me, Ryan, Norma, and Tira had that big whole set of plans, the length of the table. And we scientifically went down and
Scientifically with little glass beads.
with little glass beads, that's right. We had our little glass beads and put markers on them. And looked at the spacing and the every other that seemed to have been the consensus of the committee. And we came up with a list, which I had emailed everybody a couple weeks ago. So basically the data collection point is done. Now we need to make a decision on whether we're gonna, how we're going, what we're gonna do. We're gonna get this list to the selectmen, or if somebody has to research the cost. And Norma had a good point that, which is why I put whether they were residential or commercial, that if it is in front of like two people's house, that maybe those two people be contacted to see if they're okay with it, you know, so that they don't think it's, the light is gonna shine into their living room or something. That's not actually that many cases, though.
No, but we want the walkability so that way we can
Right.
utilize the sidewalk.
Right, of all the places where it's proposed for new lights, only about half of them would be like in front of a house. The rest of them are on most of them are on that school curve.
Yeah.
Or in front of businesses or in front of a road intersection. So what, so committee members, we have our data collection done. What's the next step?
Do you want me to I can reach out to Eversource and try to get approximate cost, what the going rate is. And then
Okay.
present it to the selectmen,
Yeah, and then from there, then we'll be working on our budget,
right?
so we'll be able to increase the cost.
Okay,
And our,
I can't imagine it's gonna be dramatic.
I'm trying
Was it
to,
in the past?
I don't know if it was $10 or $12 a month, it wasn't a lot.
it's somehow I
that one
heard
of the-
$30 a month.
That sounds familiar to me too, but aren't the streetlights one of the things that the eventual connection to the net metering from the biodigester is supposed to offset? Isn't that one of the things that was verbally agreed to like 3 years ago?
3 or 4 or 5 years ago.
I mean, we had put the lights up, they had changed them over just for the cost and the reliability.
Right, but we're supposed, and I don't believe anything has ever been put on paper, and Norma, this might be something you have some insight in through Kai's. I don't think anything's ever been implemented on that after the initial verbals from the first couple of meetings. Now, I don't know if that's because they're not ready to implement that for us or not. They're certainly
they're
still doing a lot of work up
generating.
there.
They had generated and had designated a certain percentage of power. I forget how many kilowatt hours. You'd have to go back and ask Kai's what it was back when, but that was, and we have to designate it to, if you want to call it a meter or whatever the building is, that's where the power is coming from.
Right, so if that is still something that is possible, we need to lock that in, because if it is meant to benefit the municipality and they're ready, let's cut our costs
Of course.
on our power.
Right, so can you reach out to Kai?
Yeah, I can
maybe?
reach out to guys.
Okay, great. And I think I emailed this to you, Amy, if you don't have it with the list.
No, I'm pretty sure I remember.
Okay.
seeing
So, I mean, it should be pretty clear cut for them since we gave them their utility pole numbers, so. Okay, good teamwork. Hopefully, the Board of Finance. Or the
Well, let's
town
see if
will be
we-
able to afford
Let's see if we
this.
can get that answer before it goes in front of the Board of Finance, because if we have an idea of what the offset is, then obviously the impact goes down.
You know,
So
we're trying to revitalize the town, especially the downtown district. This all plays hand in hand.
Yeah,
The addition of streetlights wouldn't necessarily have to go to the Board of Finance. for
No,
approval.
but we just have
It's
to
just the
increase our
budget, right?
budget.
Yeah,
The-
but we have to anyways, because the rates have gone up.
Right, the Board of Selectmen always either remove or add a street light wherever we think it's, in the past where we thought it was needed.
okay. Yeah, that was a great idea for us to look at that, Ken. So if you put it on your agenda, if you
Because how many new ones?
want me
did
to
you say we
speak
had?
on the record at the
I
selectmen
don't
meeting
need-
why we did this or anything, let me know. Or you need any more support from MSRAC?
How many
looks
new
like
ones?
about 15.
There was supposed to, some would be relocated and moved.
That's true.
One,
Some of
there,
them were-
one was one removal.
Yeah. They
1, 2,
relocated them.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 13 because one is
Yeah,
removal.
And I had done a rough count when I had driven the street a few months ago. It was about a dozen.
Okay, yep,
That's what I had come up with,
And
just
this-
quickly looking.
yeah, and it was nice to have the ability to have Yu Yang's plans too, and just be able to really. Like, kind of go right down the street and have the actual phone numbers, so. It worked out well. Anybody have anything else on the streetlights?
Now, that'll be the finishing touch.
Yeah,
And of course, once Blaine Road intersection gets done.
right. So item E is Swanson Park. Possible T-Mobile placemaking grant for a shovel-ready project to improve that park. And I know that we talked about before we really got too far into it, asking the veterans if they were interested.
I spoke with Lisa, she's the commander of American Legion, Lisa Martin, and she's excited.
Oh,
I just told her that throughout the process, we would keep the Legion and the VFW apprised to the situation and so they could be part of the planning.
mhm.
So, but she's excited, she thinks it would be fantastic. I think it's sort of this forgotten
It is.
park. I
That-
mean,
that-
when we walked it and it was like, oh, in between those bushes, there's more monuments. I never knew they were there.
Right,
And I told her that. And no, she's very excited. She's gonna share it with the membership and doesn't think it'll be an issue.
Yeah, maybe,
Great.
maybe they can give us some input on design and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes,
But moving
definitely.
that down just makes most sense.
the monument at the,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
and just getting rid of that row of hedges, I mean, then you can't even see that there's a park there, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't, it.
Yeah,
there's-
they
it could-
got
I think
out,
it's gotten overgrown.
yeah, they got out of control. It's time to pull them in.
Yeah, well, it's
Okay,
not,
great.
as it's currently configured, it's neither visible nor super accessible. I mean, there is that concrete path, but it's so sunken in, it's like a little pond, a little ornamental pond,
Right.
right in the
You
walkway.
know, you put some nice benches in there, picnic table or two,
Right.
whatever. People can come down, they can look at the monuments and
Use the
Right,
50
take their
new
dogs, take their
crosswalk,
dogs.
take lunch from
Exactly.
Middletown.
Okay, so Yu Yang did share his CAD, which include like half of the park that we could use for planning purposes, and so I wanted to wait and make sure that we had agreement from that it seemed like a viable project, so I'm gonna donate some surveying services from the J&D survey crew, and we'll finish the plan, so then there'll be something that people can draw pictures on and sketches and to scale and plantings, because, yeah.
Yeah, Steve, you
Okay.
were doing some rough sketching that day we were all
I
down there.
had some ideas, but until we get input.
Yeah.
And specific plan knowledge, where trees are
Okay.
located, you don't wanna start sketching around.
Right, we'll
Or
locate the
sketching.
mature trees and, I mean, I think Yu Yang already located the existing diagonal sidewalk,
Mhm.
so. Yeah, we'll finish that up and then,
So do you think that it would be best to have a couple ideas, a couple sketches, and then bring it to the Legion membership
Sure.
for their input?
If we can, yeah.
Yeah, that might be a good way, you know,
Like, here's our 2 or 3 ideas. And then,
but if they had any ideas from the outset, you know, we would
Okay.
like. Place to have memorials or another monument is planned, or, you know, it'd be good to know that
You-
going in.
Yeah, do you think they're available for meetings like at this time? Like if we just
Well, I
said
would
on the
say-
March meeting or something?
I don't know about Lisa, but certainly John
John
LaFontaine
Fontaine.
and Elmer would likely be available, I would say. I
And you
think
got-
John's retired.
Okay,
Yeah, John's retired, Elmer is retired, you've got the. You wanna call it the ladies from,
Oh, that's true.
The auxiliary.
which is, Virginia, living on,
Yes.
you know, and get them all involved and just,
Okay.
and of course, yeah.
yeah, I think you're right, Steve, from the beginning, if we can have like in the existing plan, I mean, the weather isn't super conducive at this time of year to meeting out there, but maybe we could
But it-
look at it in paper
Some-
and then in another month.
So maybe we could invite them to the next meeting.
Yeah,
Well, something to think about is, because they go to an awful lot of these ceremonies throughout the state. You know, so they see different designs and different things, so maybe getting them in as early as possible. To give some input, and then we can maybe go sketch from there.
We should
Yeah.
also ask if there are any pools of state or federal funding for the groups, you know, the umbrella groups that could contribute towards it, because we are putting in a grant application, but all grant applications are competitive, so we might not get it, but even though there's no match required, if some amount of match is put forward, we'll also strengthen the application. So if we can find any of those things out in that conversation, that would be
I
helpful.
would hope the type of project that we're looking at, you know, involving. You know, the veterans and so forth would hopefully bring it a little higher in the. Giving fashion for the grant.
well, if we see. I know in February, I'm gonna be online for this meeting. But in March would give us enough time to survey it and then maybe other people to look at it and invite them in person for March,
For
maybe?
March.
Would that? Because for February, we might be looking at Main Street for a long time too, so.
Yeah. That's fine. The only,
Okay.
we've been targeting an April 1st deadline. That's a rolling quarterly, so we'll just push that application out to the following quarterly deadline
Okay,
as the target, which is fine with me.
But if we do have the. Contact with them, they can start thinking about it today. Till we all meet and,
okay,
you know, maybe they can even send down some of their members and say, hey, go through the park and see what you're thinking.
yes,
You know, the
yeah, but that'd be a
brainstorm.
great idea. And I'll have the existing conditions plan ready in February and I can forward it to everybody, but maybe as far as meeting with them in person, maybe we could do it in March. All right. Anything else on Swanson Park? Okay, then moving on to item F, River Mill.
I reached out to our grant administrator from DECD earlier this week so that I would have the update, because I have sent in the completed preliminary. It's not the final agreement, it's the agreement that generates the final agreement. I did that before the holidays, hadn't heard. Shantae wrote me back and said, should be soon. I don't have anything other than soon, but I am hopeful. Because the state signatures on that contract is the only thing that's stopping Gumpert from starting the cleanup work. That's it. That's it. That's what it's
But
been.
if she's saying soon, that's a positive.
It is, but soon is not tomorrow or by the end of the week, or, you know, I'd much rather hear something like that, but there's only like 2 people in the entire division working on the brownfield stuff, so it is what it is.
At least it's still moving forward, even if at a snail's pace.
Yeah, a disabled snail's pace.
Any
Okay,
progress is good progress.
right. Okay, item G, 65 Main Street.
I have a a foam core mounted concept drawing from the architectural firm in my office. I had to make that up because there was some thought that Murphy and Blumenthal were going to be out last week, which ended up not working out. Which is actually fine because it was a crappy day, the day they were going to supposedly be out. But yeah, so it is under contract for design to Silver Petrocelli, which is the same firm that's working on the salt shed project. They've done their preliminary measures and drawings. The hazmat testing was done last week. She was there, the person doing the testing was there from 9 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. So they were very thorough. And I should have 50% construction documents by the end of the month. And then shortly thereafter, I'm hoping that we get everything wrapped up so that we can go to bid for the construction, so we can get that underway with those federal dollars. And then the other grant, I'm again waiting for an executed contract from the Fed on the programming piece, so that they can run nearly simultaneously the renovation and the programming workshop. I do have a somewhat more solid by the end of this month from the Fed. And I will say that they've been pretty close on their deadlines once they've given them to me. So, and I believe that money comes to us in an upfront chunk. I do not think that that is a reimbursement grant. I think the federal funds have generally been, here's your money, just do what you said you told us you were going to do with it. So that's because that's the case with the rental money. It's just sitting in an account waiting to be used.
All right, well, that's exciting. Having architectural plans drawn up and getting ready to go out to bid. So now we have our item H, other committee business. Like he said, I think in the future, I'll list our older jobs and then I leave it to people to, excuse me, let me know if there's other things. So that would include items like 630 Riverside Drive and Blaine Road, if there are updates.
Have you been able to meet with John yet?
Not yet. I just got the new alignment from Dave Held yesterday. He didn't submit it until December, so I wanted to be able to have a plan in hand to go with him. And I know Tira was interested in going, so if I call him back and I'll just schedule some time. It's getting a little, you said it was gonna have to be after work, right?
Yeah, John works till 5 o'clock anyway.
Right.
I think he was pushing towards 6 if it's possible,
Okay.
you know.
So, and that's the thing
Or
with the
maybe-
daylight, right?
But I think he works the one on a Saturday because he has
Okay.
to run the emissions. That may be a possibility.
Okay.
But if we reach out.
If
to
I'm
him,
around on the set, I mean, obviously I can just walk down from the house, so.
You know,
Okay, so it definitely is not forgotten. It's on the list of things to do, and I just got the plan this week that was revised with the wider width.
Right, and NC is working on their estimate back to us now. So they responded with a couple of additional questions yesterday. And presumably we'll have their actual estimate soon. Soon again.
Oh, we'd have to get a glass of water. Want to take over, Steve?
Well,
Anything else?
right at the end.
member comments,
There's a kitchen right here, Janet, with
Okay.
probably cups, paper cups in there.
any member comments? Present or online?
You know, we're still moving forward and that's the thing that counts. You know,
Onward and upward.
and thank God the weather's been cooperating. Well, with a lot of the stuff that's going on.
I think it's just briefly related to 630. I believe there was another offer submitted. I don't think that the owner has replied to that offer at all. That's the last time, that's as of 2 weeks ago, one of the interested parties there I spoke to. And then the kids from UConn should be back now from their winter break. So I'll be reaching out to the student design team probably early next week once they've gotten their legs back under them.
And what are they doing?
They're doing a portion of a site design concept that would include probably some green design, stormwater infiltration, and probably a recreational area in the place that can't really be developed because of the wetlands implications. They showed us their semester end synopsis of their project, which is pretty decent. And then, they have to deliver something to us by May, and we'll just include that as a part of whether we go out to RFP to solicit a designer eventually, or the people who are interested actually break through with the owner and move forward. We will have that regardless. So it's something that we can say, this is what we have in mind. So we're not sort of in that laissez-faire world of, yeah, just do whatever. Maybe don't do quite whatever.
The UConn students do a great job.
And what department is this?
Civil engineering.
Yeah.
Civil.
Yeah. I think they're all CEs.
Yes. And most of them have like a construction emphasis, which I don't know exactly why they came together for kind of a design project, but they all seem to be more interested like in construction management.
All helps towards their grades and stuff, and they're critiqued quite well. From they're in.
Yeah, we've got two student teams. We've got this
Professors.
one, and we've got a team working on some redesigns at the transfer station. And that's that.
That brings us to adjournment, Jen.
Thanks for stepping in, Steve.
And you accomplish your hour.
That's right. That's right. I said at the beginning of the meeting, our meetings have been getting longer and longer. When I first joined this committee, I think with Dave Babbitt was the chairman, he was like, okay, the meetings aren't going to be longer than an hour. But we just started getting our fingers in so many things.
Well, the
Yeah.
projects themselves got complicated. so-
Right. And they're so long in duration that it just seems like we just add and we don't subtract.
You look
From
at
the
what the
agenda.
committee has been able to accomplish over the years, it's quite a lot.
And I really appreciate the fact that you guys on the Board of Selectmen also support us and come to our meetings and everything. That's really great relationship.
Yeah.
All right, so we get to adjourn the meeting. Whoa, at 9:50.
That means I won't be doing minutes for 4 hours.
See you next